Hello, this is Mr. Smith. This is day number 2 of economics, unit number 2. And so for the bell ringer, what did you learn about the public sector? Or in other words, the government and the economy. And today we'll also be working on the trade activity. So first, look at this website that talks about the benefits of trade. This is from the U.S. Trade Representative Office. And then open up the activity here, which is a survey. Asks you to find 10 items in your household and where they're made. The most popular countries are here. So for instance, if you find 5 items from Austria, you would click this right here. And then if you can't find your country in this alphabetical list, if it's in the Western Hemisphere, if it's in Asia, if it's in Europe, if it's in Africa, or if it's in the Pacific Ocean, you can place them in here if it's not in the list, because the list only contains the top 50 exporting countries. And then just has some general questions that you can answer. And then to finish up that activity, you click submit in the text box, type an answer. What did you learn from participating in the survey and reviewing the web page? And from the notes, let's go over the second part of government involvement in the economy, deficits and debts. Governments try to balance the budget by taking in an equal amount of expenditures and revenues. If they take in more revenue, they have a surplus, but that has only been done in recent times in the administration of Bill Clinton, so it's been a while. Most of the time they have a deficit where they have more expenditures than revenue. And now the deficit is up to almost $1 trillion a year because of, for instance, the pandemic. But even before that, the economy was doing well, but because of the tax cuts, we ended up having a large deficit. And each year there's a deficit that contributes to the overall debt, because when we end up spending more than we have to borrow. And the last time it was paid off was Andrew Jackson. Fiscal conservatives have pushed for a balanced budget, but they only tend to care about that if it's other people's problems. If it's them and their state is hurting and needs money, they'll go ahead and take it. So people who claim to be fiscally conservative or want a balanced budget, it's sometimes a little bit misleading. A balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, forcing them to balance it every time, would tie the government's hands, because we needed to borrow lots of money during World War II, or if there's a series of disasters. So in a time of emergency, a balanced budget amendment might be harmful. Interest payments make up about 15%, and a world crisis could doom the U.S. economy if the debt persists. So if interest rates especially skyrocketed, we'd have to pay out even more, which means we'd have to cut programs. And in 2020, the debt has grown to over $20 trillion. Republicans typically favor laissez-faire policy, while Democrats support Keynesian economics. So if Republicans say government should stay out, Democrats say the government should spend and support. Both parties try to outspend each other on the military, though. There's little checks on if that money is being spent as efficiently as possible, and that companies aren't taking advantage of the military. And elected officials often spend money on special projects, often called earmarks or pork barrel projects, to try to make themselves look better in the eyes of the voters. So a congressman might say, hey, the biggest town in my district needs, as part of this transportation bill, new sidewalks installed. Well, that's good, but just for that people in town, it doesn't really have anything to do with the country as a whole. And then taxes. The federal government uses the IRS to collect wages and taxes, including Social Security and income taxes. A progressive income tax goes up with your wealth, so the rate continually increases. A flat tax is the same for everyone. For instance, everyone, if they had an 18% tax, Pennsylvania has a flat income tax at 3.07% right now. Regressive taxes, they look flat on the surface, but in reality, the percentage taken from your income increases the poorer you get. For instance, the sales tax is 6% for everyone, but if you kept track of all the money someone pays in sales tax from a poor person and a rich person and divide it into their income, the poor person definitely ends up paying more. And that's true for usage taxes, gas tax, tax on beer and cigarettes. It ends up being a bigger chunk of their income if you're poor. And here is the tax bracket that exists for the federal income tax. You can see 10% for the lowest. This is what many students end up earning. The highest is 37% if you make over $518,000. And so next time we'll be talking about international economics and trade.